These guys are ridiculous. These guys are ridiculous.
Now, how about them damn Celtics?
And we are back with another How About Them Celtics video. Sam and I are recording Thursday, August 31st, and we're talking about something we've talked about way too much this summer already, Damian Lillard. Sam,
It's back.
How excited are you to talk about Dame again, Sam?
I literally can't wait to leave and go play basketball.
Do you have another men's league game tonight, or are you playing?
No. Nope. We won yesterday, and that's it.
Yes.
Sunday, we're back. New
Amazing.
session.
There we go. Well, we are
did
talking
nothing.
about group project A+.
That's right.
Love it. Jeff Teague. Jayson Tatum reportedly tried recruiting Damian Lillard to Boston after the trade request went through. Now, this is something that we heard briefly about when it actually happened, but we had more news here from ESPN, this is wrong, Anscape, Mark Spears. He went on the Sports by Northwest podcast, and he basically said, yeah, he tried to get Tatum to come to Boston. I know that Jayson Tatum has called him to try to get in his ear, but his focus is definitely on Miami. So that's basically the quote that has been making the rounds, that has been killing the aggregation game lately. This is also what has been here. He's got that kind of military basketball mentality. He wants to work. Also, the stability of organization. They've been in the finals, 6-7 times since 2006. Obviously, Bam, Jimmy, that helps. No state tax, all this other stuff. I think my chances are better if I go out east, and if Miami is able to make the finals without somebody like myself, so what can they do with me? And then obviously said the quote that I just said. I know Boston, Jayson Tatum tried to call him, tried to get in his ear, but his focus was on Miami. All of this stuff makes sense. And if we really want to talk about the non-Celtics part of this, like, if I'm a superstar, I want to go to the Heat, right? Like, if I'm completely unbiased, duh, right? Like, that's the most obvious, yes, take me there situation, because they have the salary to trade for you. They just made the finals without you, and they wouldn't have to give up any of those pieces they made the finals with to get you. So, yeah, no shit. And it's in Florida, and there's no state tax, and it's Miami. Yes, of course, right? Like, that would be a place you would want to go. And they have one of the best coaches in the league. So, like, that makes sense from that perspective. But obviously, the piece that's been picked up by Celtics media here is Jayson Tatum gave Dame a call, right? So that's what we're talking about.
Yeah, so we kind of thought this might have happened earlier this summer. I remember talking about, should they be recruiting Dame? Should they not? Then Tatum had that red carpet appearance, and he was like, I don't care. Or he said he dismissed it.
Yeah.
And we're all the way back to, he called him, tried to get in his ear, but his focus is definitely on Miami. So no matter what, this is going to affect the Celtics, whether he signs. You would think he was signing somewhere, the way people are recruiting him. If he is traded to Miami, if he's traded to Boston, even if he's traded to Brooklyn, it's going to matter. He's going to be somebody they either have on their team or they have to play against. Personally, I sure hope that this isn't true, because now there's no way to get him here for like a price that doesn't gut your roster. At least before Jalen signed his extension, as stupid as it was to say trade him for Lillard, because at the end of the day, who would you rather end up paying $60 million a season? A prime Jaylen Brown or a 35, 36-year-old Damian Lillard by the time his contract is worth that? The answer is obviously Jalen. But now, Jalen cannot be traded till January. It's not a trade I would do anyways. I wouldn't wait for this.
I don't even think Jalen can be traded this season. Can you not?
Fanspo says January.
Okay, you're right.
I don't know if I'm right or not, but that's what I saw, me being a dummy and having to look it up. The real thing would be like, okay, Dame's going to make $45 million this year. If you're the Celtics, you have to trade Brogdon in his $22 million. Rob is another guy that is consistently floated out here because they're not going to want old Al Horford. And then you're still left with what? Another $13 million. So you have to trade.
If you literally
all
threw
of the
in
fellas,
all of this, I don't even think that would be enough. That would just get you there.
And then you have to trade picks, cut your future. Now, I am very anti-trading the picks here because of the new CBA. We've talked about this at length. I wrote about it. But also, I don't love the idea of giving up all this future stuff to pay an old guy that's a short point guard that is a great player because of his athletic ability. As he continues to age, he's not going to be as athletic. So it doesn't make a ton of sense to offload all those draft picks. If you really want to think of it crazy, I completely forgot what I was going to say. So it's pretty crazy. Give me 1 sec to recover.
You're good. I'm putting this on the screen here just to give some perspective as to if the Celtics were to trade for Damian Lillard, this is what they would have to give up at the bare minimum. This is if the Blazers were like, yeah, we'll take whatever you got, and the Celtics offered up their best package without moving both of Brogdon and Derek White or both of their bigs or something. If it says protected, that means it's a swap. Just for the context of this. So keep that in mind, and then I'll put it on the screen.
Look at them all. Look at all the picks. Look at them all
this
going.
Is probably the bare minimum that Portland would ask for from the Celtics. Brogdon, Rob, Pritchard, Luke, Delano Banton, all these picks. Now, you could make the argument, okay, if Miami can only give up X amount of picks, the Celtics probably wouldn't have to trade that many. Maybe if you really want to, get down to the nitty gritty here, maybe you could be like, okay, maybe the Celtics wouldn't have to give up, maybe they could keep one of their 2024 picks and they keep their pick and they give up the Warriors. Maybe they wouldn't have to give up one of these swaps and just one swap instead. And so then you get down to, okay, 3 first-round picks and a swap. That would probably be a little bit comparable to what the Heat can give up, plus all these players. Then the Celtics roster would be left with Dame, Jaylen Brown, Jayson Tatum, Porzingis, Derek White, Al Horford, Sam Hauser, O'Shea Brissett, Jordan Walsh, which, I mean, in fairness, that's still a pretty good top 9, top 8, whatever you want to call it. And you can go back and forth. Would you rather have Rob's contract for the future, Pritchard maybe re-signing him, all the picks? I don't think this is as bad as a Jaylen Brown deal. I was out on trading Jaylen for him. I still wouldn't make this trade if I'm the Celtics because it's putting a lot of this your future draft capital, which Sam, you just wrote about. The Celtics have done a really good job at keeping hold of this draft capital to make a future trade. I would save it for a trade that you could get I think you should probably trade it for a star or better pieces.
Maybe
but
a trade that's not going to handicap you.
Yeah, I don't know if Dame is the star because not a good defender, makes a ton of money moving forward. Maybe you do want the point guard position, but you don't really need another primary scorer type guy. Purely from the perspective of if it's one season, like let's say Dame was 27, right? I'd make this trade, but he's not 27. That's not, you know what I'm saying? Like if Dame was younger, excuse me, he is a star. This is the package you give up for a star. But at Dame's age, at his contract value, with his age, and the fact that he plays a position that doesn't necessarily age well, and the Celtics have played this game before with Kemba and Kyrie and all the other point guards, it just doesn't make sense to make this type of deal.
No. And what I was going to say before my brain melted was the thing about trading picks is usually by the time the picks are actually active or whatever you want to say, before the year rolls around.
Yes.
The value usually goes up because the team that makes a trade falls apart by then. With the Celtics, I'm not sure that they would end up being one of those teams just because Jaylen Brown has been extended. Jayson Tatum will undoubtedly be extended. And then they have Dame forever. The only thing that would make them bad is the inability to move around and actually make moves because of the, 1, sheer amount of money that Dame is taking up. 2, restrictions set in by the new CBA. The only way you're going to be able to improve a roster where you're paying guys is draft picks. So to highlight the importance of those once again, you kind of need them because it's a way to get potentially valuable players for cheap. As you have 2 stars that are going to be making 60. If you bring in Dame, that's probably another 60 million. 3 $60 million guys. Porzingis making 30 million. Derek White's going to get an extension soon. Mm-hmm. This money does not grow on trees anymore in the NBA. The NBA is putting the hammer down. They're going to start bullying teams that want to spend. So this is not a trade for you. It's just not. It's bad.
I agree. Now, I'll put it this way. Just for the sake of putting the visual on the screen, I'm going to put all of the Heat. I'm going to put the Heat's package to the Celtics so we can compare packages, right? This is around what the Heat or what the rumored package. This is probably more than what the rumored package for Dame is going to be heading the way of Portland, right? This is probably, I'm just checking salary. It's probably to be something like that. Plus, what picks can they offer? Let me just check real quick. My point, and I'll talk while I'm doing this. My point being, as much as the Celtics probably shouldn't make this trade, they could probably offer a better package to Portland than what Miami can. Am I crazy for saying that?
No.
Because, like, let's see here. They can trade 28 and 30. So they can legally trade these picks. Everything else would have to be a swap. So let's just say they trade this as a swap, right? This would probably be the best because Portland has said they don't want Tyler Hero, which doesn't mean Tyler Hero is not a good player. He just doesn't fit what they're doing. Even if they offered Caleb Martin, which they said they don't want to, let's say they offer more than they're willing to trade. These would be the two packages that we're talking about for Dame. Sam, which would you rather have?
Probably the Celtics, right?
Probably.
Rob is a piece that they can use.
I think the center,
for the foreseeable
Rob.
future. It's not a position they really would be strong at. You have to imagine if they're getting rid of Dame, they're getting rid of Nerd 2, right?
Probably.
He's been like a negative contract for them as of the last couple of years. He really just hasn't been as effective. So they're going to look to reshape that position. Jaime Jaquez had a great summer league. Jovic is somebody that people are raving about too. So there's value on the young side there. But you're getting more picks from Boston. Will they be valuable? Probably not. If you're really in on the picks, Miami's your best bet. Jimmy's old. Dame's going to be old. Bam's going to be their best player once those two guys age out. Well, I guess they keep Hero in this situation too. A trade where they don't have to give up Hero and they get off Lowry's contract and they get Dame. This is borderline like the Heat like get a double win in getting rid of Lowry and you get Dame instead.
My question is, does Dame's contract turn into Lowry's contract in 2 years?
Yes, it sure does.
There you go. There you go. The other thing about this is a lot of people saying like, oh, why does Jayson want this? If you're Jayson Tatum, you're a superstar. You try to recruit other superstars, especially knowing like that Jalen is now safe, right? It's like if his one concern was don't trade Jalen and get Dame, probably possible. And it makes sense. You know, they are stars. They are friends from Team USA. They know each other well. This could have been like saying Jayson Tatum reached out to Dame doesn't mean he talked to Brad and said, Brad, do this. This could have just simply been Jayson Tatum, ring. Hey, Dame, any interest in coming to Boston? Maybe we can figure it out. And Dame's like, nah. And Tatum's like, all right, gotcha. Right? Like that could have been the conversation. That could have been the entirety of the conversation, Jayson Tatum to Damian Lillard. And then somehow Mark Spears got a hold of the information through talking to one of them and said, yeah, we talked about it briefly, but nothing came of it. And that could be where this is coming from, right? But I don't think it's that like ridiculous that Jayson Tatum at least called him and said, hey, what's up? Any interest? And Dame was like, no. Like that could have just been the finish of it. But of course, it's August. So it's going to be blown up.
I don't really know if unless you have absolutely no idea of how the salary cap works. I mean, they might not because they kind of don't have to. They just show up.
What do you mean?
But if Tatum has any idea of how the salary cap works, there's no reason for him to be asking. Like he just knows it doesn't really work. Like there's no realistic way to get him to town. Like that trade we just sent is like a monster trade. And it's going to handicap the organization in the future. Like, why would you want that?
Well, no, that is a real way. And in Tatum's mind, he's like, okay, if we get Dame right now, we're probably going to win a title in the next 2 years. Because as much as it is like, and the back 2 years of Dame's career is probably not going to be as good. You still have 1 or 2 years of one of the best players in the league when he's at his best. So I get it from his perspective. And like I said, they have a relationship and it's not like we haven't seen those trades before. Now, this is a terrible example because it turned out really poorly, but like, just purely in the perspective of how many players they had to give up to get a deal done. Like, look how many pieces were in the Rudy Gobert trade. It didn't work out for Minnesota, obviously, but you know, in the sense of you have to give up a lot of pieces to get one player. Like, it's not an impossible thing. But anyways, I mean, cool news. Happy August. You're seeing this in September 1st. So happy September now. Yeah, go check it out. The Celtics did make a move. We recorded our reaction to Svi Mykhailiuk signing before this. Go check that out. That's on our channel as well. But yeah, thank y'all for tuning in. Subscribe to How About Them Celtics and get us out of here.
Hey, thank you very much for watching. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Hit the notification bell so you don't miss any breaking uploads like the one we put up yesterday. You can follow us on social media at How About Them CZ. That's Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. Facebook is just the name of the podcast. You can find us there for any live streams. Those will also be on the YouTube. You can follow Jack at JackSimone NBA on Twitter. And you can follow me at Sam LaFrance NBA. That's it for us. Bye.